A vision without ownership is just wallpaper, and a vision that is realized becomes culture. Here's what I see time and time again. I visit hundreds of schools every year, and almost all of them have their vision and mission proudly displayed. It's on the website, it's in the foyer, it's even painted down the corridor walls in bold letters. But when I sit down with staff or walk into a classroom, I rarely see a school that is the school that describes itself to be online. That's what I call a wallpaper vision. It looks impressive, it ticks a compliance box, it reassures people that yes, the statement is there, but it doesn't breathe, it doesn't shape behavior, and if your vision doesn't breathe, it will never shape your culture. Now, in the Culture of Excellence framework, I call this barrier fragmented vision. And fragmented vision happens when there's a disconnect between what a school says it is and how it actually operates. The vision and mission statements exist, but they're static. They're something you have rather than something you live. And over time, staff just stop paying attention. They see it as just compliance, just wallpaper. Leaders often admit this to me in frustration. They'll say, "We have a vision, but nobody really believes it. It doesn't guide decisions in classrooms or how people approach their work day to day." Now, that's not because staff don't care. It's because the vision has been allowed to sit apart from the work of the school. It's fragmented, and the cost of this disconnect is significant. First, it leads to staff disengagement. When teachers see the vision as words on a page, not something that's lived out, they stop relating to it. It doesn't inspire them. It doesn't inform their practice. And the bigger the gap between the words and reality, the more cynical people become. Second, it leads to professional learning that's disconnected. Now, I see schools investing heavily in PD, but often in areas that don't directly link to their stated vision or strategic priorities. Now, that means time, money, and energy are going into things that might be worthwhile on their own, but they aren't building the capacity of staff to actually live the school's purpose. And third, it means culture drifts. Without a vision that's realized, schools default to the path of least resistance, short-term firefighting, operating by habit, leaders spending their energy on what's urgent rather than what's important. The result is a school that feels busy, but not purposeful. So when vision is just wallpaper, the cost is disconnection, wasted capacity, and cultural drift. And that's why, in the Culture of Excellence framework, this aspect is not just vision, it's called realizing purpose and vision. Because having a vision statement is not the hard part, that's quite easy actually. But realizing it, bringing it to life so it shapes behavior and decision-making every day, that's the real work of leadership. And what does that take? It takes translation. Those aspirational words need to be translated into practice. If your vision says you're committed to empowering learners to be confident, creative contributors, you need to define what that looks like in a classroom, in assessments, and in professional learning communities. Otherwise, it stays abstract. In addition to translation, it takes definition. Schools must get clear about what evidence will show they're moving closer to the vision. What does confident look like in practice? How would we measure creativity? What would contributors be doing that proves we're on the right track? Until you can measure progress, either quantitatively or qualitatively, the vision remains an aspiration, not culture. Next, it takes alignment. Professional learning must be directly tied to the vision. I see professional learning as the single most important investment a school makes in building staff capacity. But for that investment to pay off, it must be clear. This is our vision, this is how we plan to achieve it, and this is the learning we're doing to build that capacity. And this is how we'll measure progress. When staff see that alignment, the vision becomes real. And finally, it takes a clear line of sight. Every staff member should be able to tell me how the annual improvement plan is being actioned in their context and how that plan connects to the vision and mission. Without that clear line of sight, realization doesn't happen. Vision is only real when it can be seen, measured, and lived. And whenever I visit a school, the first thing I read is the vision and mission statement on their website. Then I spend the day in classrooms, staff rooms, and leadership meetings, and I ask myself, where do I see this vision alive in practice? And most of the time I don't. This is where measurement becomes critical, and that's why I developed the Culture of Excellence Snapshot. It's a diagnostic tool that helps schools map their reality against the 6 aspects of excellence, including realizing purpose and vision. Now, it acts like a mirror. It shows you where you're aligned and where there are gaps between what you say and how you live. And this provides the evidence base to start closing those gaps. Now, this conversation isn't just opinion, the research is clear. Michael Fullen reminds us that coherence, the alignment of vision, capacity, and action, is the key to meaningful school change, and Hargreaves and Fullen describe professional learning as the deepest cultural investment a school can make. John Hattie's synthesis of 1200 meta-analysis shows that collective teacher efficacy, the shared belief that staff can deliver the vision together, has the single strongest effect size on student achievement. And the ACU Principal Health and Wellbeing surveys add to the picture. They show that role conflict, being pulled apart in urgent demands and strategic priorities, is one of the biggest stressors for school leaders. And fragmented vision makes that worse because the urgent always beats the important. But when vision is realized, when it's measurable, aligned, and alive, leaders report greater clarity, staff alignment improves, and culture gains resilience. So how do we move from wallpaper vision to a realized vision? It comes down to 3 shifts. The first shift is to align professional learning with vision. Now, professional learning is often a scattergun list of workshops or whatever happens to be available. But if your vision is about creativity, then your PD must equip teachers with strategies to foster creativity. If your vision is about resilience, PD must support that. And if the learning doesn't build capacity for the vision, it's a distraction. One principal told me, we stopped treating PD as an optional add-on, and now every session is designed to move us closer to our vision. Now that's alignment. The second shift is to define what vision looks like in practice. Abstract words don't change culture, practice does. And if your vision is about lifelong learners, what would that look like for a Year 3 student? What would you see in their work or in their behavior? Leaders need to describe it so clearly that staff can recognize it in daily interactions. Without definition, vision is just aspiration. But with definition, it becomes a standard that staff can measure themselves against. Now, the third shift, create a clear line of sight. This is about connection. Every staff member, from the newest graduate teacher to the most experienced teacher, should be able to explain how their daily work connects to the annual plan and how that plan connects to the vision. In strong schools, I can ask that question anywhere and get a confident answer. In most schools, I can't. And when I can't, it's a sign that the vision is still wallpaper. Let me wrap all that up by saying this. Clarity plus capacity plus measurement equals realized vision. And so here's my challenge. This week, read your school's vision and mission, and then ask 3 staff members, how do you see this vision in action in your classroom? If they can't answer, it's not their fault. That's the signal that your vision hasn't been realized. And that's where the work begins. A vision without ownership is just wallpaper, but a vision that's realized becomes culture. If you'd like to see how your school's vision aligns with your lived culture, take the Culture of Excellence snapshot. It's free, it's diagnostic, and it will give you clarity on where you stand and where you need to grow. And if you'd like to explore how the Culture of Excellence program can help your leadership team move from wallpaper vision to realized vision, book an exploration session or message me to explore the possibilities.